Okay, so far so good. The next stage is we actually need to start dealing with the zombies. We actually need to start killing these zombies as they enter the scene. So let's actually we can add to that zombie prefab because right now they just have one FSM on it that's controlling the navigation, but we can add um, another prefab to deal with what happens when they reach the destination and basically what happens when you shoot them. So let's do that. Let's add a zombie health FSM. So we're going to add, this is my prefab that I'm editing now. This is the prefab of my project. So I'm going to add another FSM. And whenever you add more than one FSM, you got to start naming stuff. So the first FSM that we had on the zombie, that's going to be our nav system. And the second is going to be our health system. Okay, so let's edit this health system. So the way that this is going to work is, let's say that each zombie takes 3 hits to kill. So we'll create a new int, which will be our zombie health. And we'll start that zombie off at having 100% health. So that first state, we have not been hit yet. We're just, the zombie's hanging out, moving towards the destination. So this will be our wait for hit. Our second state will be a subtract health state after we've been hit. There we go. We'll keep it capital, keep it consistent. So that wait for hit, let's go ahead and attach an event to that, which we will call hit. Right click, add transition, hit. And in this state, we will subtract a certain amount of health. So if we want to say that this zombie is takes 3 hits to kill, 3 gunshots to kill, and it has 100 health, when you subtract 33.333 repeating decimal every time, we'll just call that 34. So let's do an int add, even though we're subtracting. So the int variable that we're going to subtract against is going to be our zombie health. And so instead of adding a positive number to subtract, we need to add a negative number. So that's going to be negative 34 every hit. And as we subtract the health, we can also play a sound, right? Because we need to give player feedback that the zombie's been hit. We can also do something else to show that it's been hit. There can be not just an auditory feedback, but we can have visual feedback, so we can actually change the material. So let's do the play sounds. Or we can do the audio play advanced. So the game object will play the sound, and it doesn't have an audio source. So let's click on the warning, and it'll give it an audio source. The one-shot clip that we're going to play, let's look in the sound effects. Here's our enemy hit. We will load that into the slots. The pitch, we're going to do the same thing that we did previously by using a variable. So we're going to do another float random float. So we'll go between, we'll try, I like to start with moving the pitch just by the 0.2. though. I think with these more like cartoony 8-bit sound effects, I don't know that it's as noticeable. But whatever, we'll try it out. Zombie hit pitch. So we need to put this first. So there we go. There's our zombie hit pitch. Don't need the slash. Okay, so we'll immediately subtract health from the zombie. We'll generate a random number here using our random float, and we'll plug in that random number to our play audio source. Now let's do a material change. So let's see. So I'll just use the set material. Okay. The material that we want to set it to will flash. How about we'll flash like a red color? So I'm going to duplicate the zombie material, and I'll create a zombie hit material. Zombie hit. And we'll kind of shift the color to make it like more, this would be like an orangey red. So whenever we, let me grab that zombie again. Okay, so we're back on the zombie in our project on the prefab. Whenever we subtract the health, we want to swap the material to that zombie hit. And then immediately after, in our next state, we don't want the zombie to always have that new material, so we need to transition back to the first material. So I'll go ahead and copy and paste the set material, and I'll replace it with our normal zombie color. Okay, so our first state, we're just hanging out. As soon as we get hit, we'll send the hit message, and we're going to plug that in a second. But after we've been hit, we need to create some effects, and we need to actually take away from the actual health pool of that zombie. This next state is going to be our test to see whether or not we've killed the zombie. So every time they're hit, after each hit, we will test and we will kind of check and see what their health is going to be. So let's plug this in. So that state 1, instead of being state 1, we'll just call that a health check. So 2 events could come from that check. They could be still alive, or they could be dead. And the events that are going to transition us out of the health check, those are going to be we'll call this still some health and no health. So let's go ahead and attach those. Still some health, no health. Okay, still some health, they're still alive, no health, they are dead. So if they're dead, we need to destroy the game object. We need to clear it from the scene. So we'll do a destroy. Destroy self. If they're still alive, we can transition back to our start state and they will wait to be hit again. So that's still alive. And if they do have health, we'll simply do a next frame event. and we'll do a reset. I really like using resets to just start over. So we'll create a new event, call it resets, tell our next frame event to use this reset, and it's just ELN at us because we need to attach it. So I'll right click on my first state and say add transition, add global transition reset. So it's going to put that above our first state, and whenever reset is called, we'll go back there. So, okay, so we've gone up and we've set up the logic as to what happens when they still have health and when they've lost all of their health, but we need to actually set up an action that's going to check that. And we'll put that with our, when we transition the material back to the regular material using the set material. The check that we're going to do, we're just going to need to look at that variable. So that one, we're going to need to check the int. So we'll do what's called an int compare. So the way that the int compare works is we're going to give it, the first variable is the number that we want to compare against, and that's our zombie health variable, which currently has 100. And we're going to check against 0. So if it's equal to 0, the zombie will be dead, and we'll send the no health event. If it's less than 0, which it can't be, we'll send the no health. But if it's greater than, it still has some health, and then the system will reset. And we don't need to do this int compare every frame. We just need to do it once while we're in the state. These actions, these events that we've specified here in the int compare, this will move us in and out of this action and start sending these events. So I think this works currently. So we're waiting for the zombie to get hit. When it's hit, we're going to subtract 34 health from 100, play a sound, change a material, and then we'll go into the next state. And then immediately we'll swap back to the first material. And in fact, that's happening so fast, I'm kind of wondering whether or not we're going to see the material switch. But whatever, I guess we'll see. Okay, well, for now, the zombie has his health system set up, so they can now be killed theoretically. We just need to, the missing piece, right, is we just need to send this event. There's no way that we can send this. And the reason that we don't have anything sending it on our zombie is because the zombie is not really controlling whether or not they're being hit. The thing that's controlling the zombies being hit, that's our fire manager that exists in our scene. So for right now, at least, we're going to be done with this prefab, and then we're going to go back to our fire manager so that we can tell the zombie health FSM that the zombie has been hit, and then we can subtract health. So, all right, let's see. So if I look back at my raycast, let me close these, it's getting a little bit cluttered. So if I look back at my raycast, we are storing the object that got hit, right? So now we can use this. We can compare whatever this object is that's being stored to the zombie, and we can see whether or not we're hitting a zombie. In either case, we are spawning those effects if we hit the wall or if we hit the zombie. And this next frame event, that's just so that we can loop the system. So let's get rid of that because we don't need that. So I need to test whether or not I'm hitting a zombie, basically. I need to test whether or not I should be subtracting health. So in order to tell what is a zombie and what is not, I need to create another tag. So the next tag I create will be called zombie. Okay. And I'll assign that tag to our zombie prefab. And this tag will be a way that we can see what is a zombie and what is not. So now that the tag is assigned, I'll go back underneath my fire manager, and right after we do that create spark, we will test to see what it is that we've hit. So that's going to be I think it's a game object compare. Okay, so we have two that came up. Here's a game object compare that compares two game objects and sends event based on the result. So that one, I don't think we can use a tag to compare. So I'll use this. I'll use the game object compare tag. So the game objects that I want to test, that's the game object that we're storing when we do the raycast. So I'll use my variables, and that's my object hit. That's what I want to compare against. And I want to compare the objects with the tag zombie assigned to it. So now we can create some logic based on what happens there. So two states. The first state is going to be hit zombie. And the second state will be did not hit zombie, like so. So let's create some events so that we can transition into those two states. And this kind of becomes a pain in the butt. You kind of have to, the events sometimes sound a lot like the states they're going to. So you kind of just like vary it using like these really subtle changes. Zombie hit, and then we'll do like a zombie miss. Like that. Okay, so now we have a zombie hit and a zombie miss, and we'll attach those to our zombie test state. Zombie hit. And zombie miss. Oops. Like that. Zombie miss will take us into did not hit zombie. And calling it spawn effects to the state, I don't think that that's accurate anymore. This will be our zombie hit tests. Okay, so if we did not hit the zombie, we don't need to take away any health. We don't need to do anything except go back to the first state. So that will be simple. That's just going to be a next frame event. We just need one, and then we can send the reset state. Okay, the zombie hit, however, the zombie hit, we're going to need to actually we're going to need to fire the event on a different FSM. So I'm going to use the send event action. And this will allow us to talk from one FSM to a different FSM. So the target is going to be a game object. And that game object is our whatever we're storing in the object hit variable. And right now we cannot choose the event because we need to make the event we want to talk to a global event. So to do that, I'm going to go back to the zombie health system FSM, and for that hit, I just need to specify that it's a global event. So that's pretty simple. I just need to hit this checkbox underneath events, and then I just get a little message about creating global events. So all you need to do is hit the checkbox, and now we can talk to this event from other FSMs. So let's go back. Let's go back to the fire manager. And the event that we want to send is going to be our hit. So now that shows up underneath our global events. All right, so we still need to recycle this as well. Now that we've sent the event, we can go ahead and I'm gonna copy this next frame event. I'm gonna paste it into the hit zombie also, because in either case, no matter what happens, I do need to recycle this so that I can do it again. All right. So let me go ahead and save scene, save project. All right, so let's give this a shot. If we've done our logic correctly, we can shoot a zombie, and within 3 shots, here's our first victim. Oh, all right, so I shot once, and you can see by looking at my Playmaker window that we actually haven't transitioned out of this state. So let's look at that state and let's see what's going on. Okay, so we just forgot to fill out some information. We couldn't get out of here. So underneath that game object compare tag, we need to just put in the events that will that we're testing against. So if we did hit something with the zombie tag, we will send the zombie hit. And if we have not, we will use the zombie miss. All right. And we don't need to do this every frame either. We just need to do it once when we get into the state. Okay, so let's try that one more time. So, okay, here are some guys that they're gonna try to sneak past us. Okay, so 3 shots. Just clearing the zombies. It's working. The thing that's not working is that we're not getting the visual display of the zombie actually being hit. So let's go ahead and fix that. Let me go back underneath the zombie, and in the subtract health action, we're switching the material. But it's just kind of taking, it's happening so fast that it's a fraction of a second that this material is actually showing before it transitions back to the original material. So let's just kind of like hang out for a little longer in this state. And to do that, I'll use a wait action. And we're going to wait a very small amount of time. We're going to wait, let's do a 0.2 seconds. Okay, so let's see if that is long enough. And so after 0.2 seconds, then we'll fire the finished action. Okay, so here's a zombie. There we go. All right. It's working. That spawning at 1 second is really like, even now that we can kill zombies, it's really quite a bit. This is going to be a challenging game. Okay, I think one more thing that we can do to kind of like reward the player or give them feedback that they've done something correct is we can tell them that a zombie has been killed by playing another audio effect. later on down the road, we can do other stuff. We can, give points based on each zombie kill. We can have big, particle explosion every time there's a dead zombie. But for right now, a good placeholder is we can just play a sound when we reach that dead state. So I'm just going to take the enemy death and whoops. I'm going to take the enemy death and I'm going to throw it into our scene. And it'll automatically get an audio source attached to it. The sound will just play on awake, so that's checked on. We don't need to loop it. I'm trying to decide if we should make the sound a 2D or a 3D sound. I think we will just go with 2D for now, so it's going to be like the same volume no matter where in the scene it's going to be. And I'll crank this up to a 3. So this enemy death sound, we'll call it, and then we'll make a prefab out of that. Oh, sorry, before we make a prefab, let's make an FSM that allows this to be cleaned up. So this will just be a wait state, and this will be a destroy state. So I think 2 seconds will do us. So I'm going to use the wait action, and we'll wait for 2 seconds. And after 2 seconds, we'll send the finished event, and we will destroy the game object, cleaning it out of the scene. Okay, so that has the FSM on it. We're going to put that in our prefabs folder, make it a prefab, and then we can clear it from the scene. Okay, so we just need to define, so we have the position of it. So instead of play sound, we'll do a create object. I think I attached 2 of them. Yes, I did. Just want the one. The game object we're going to create is that enemy death sound, and the spawn point is going to be at, oops, not spawn point, spawn position. Spawn position will be at zombie death position, like so. Okay, all right, now let's give that a shot. Okay, so that's working much better. And so that method is we're basically just creating a game object in the scene at the point where the zombie last was before it was killed. Maybe just a little bit low in terms of volume. Whoa, okay, so we changed the pitch instead of the volume, which actually I like. So maybe we can keep that. Okay, cool. Okay, so now we got the gun working. We have the zombies going towards their destination, which I should probably move closer towards the center of the game. And we can subtract health from the zombies. But we really haven't created a game. We just kind of have a zombie health system. So in order for this to be a game, there has to be stakes. The zombies have to be hurting our stockpile's health in some way. We want to be trying to prevent that.